you, but it wouldn't come up. So let me see if I can
What does
make.
it mean to tag me?
Uh, where where basically I highlight your name. There it is. Okay, I highlight your name on a post or a video, and so what happens is if it's in bold letters and it's tagged. Yeah, I can't. Let me see if I can try it this way. Then what'll happen is if say somebody watches a show and they would like to visit your page. I'm not sure if
All
this
right.
is you or not. This might be you. Oh no, this is you. I see it. Okay, I did get it. Boom. I just tagged you on it, so it'll show up on your page. Okay.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, that way, if somebody sees it, they just push the button and they go right to your page. So, yeah, we still got about another minute, but I'll go ahead and just give a little prelude. So, one of the things that I've tried to do over the years, well, first of all, I've seen you out there for a long time, and I admire people that are consistently out there putting their work out, sharing. Uh, and so I just kind of make a mental note of it. I don't get a lot of time on social media, but I kind of, manage that Soulogy group, and I've seen your stuff for years, and I thought, I'll go find him and see what he's doing and who he is, and, welcome to come, have him come on the show. So really, I don't know if you've ever watched the show, but it's not really an interview. It's more of like a conversation. So you're welcome to ask any questions that you want to.
Sure.
But yeah, it's such a wild time now. I know you've been uh, in this game for a while. In this part of it. So not having really known anything about you, I used to ask people on the
Okay.
show. I used to ask people on the show all the time, "Have you always been this weird, or when did you wake up, or did you have a wake up experience?" But how did it all start for you?
I'm very happy to speak about this. I, the honest answer is I had a horrific childhood, as most people do, who are pushed to look further afield. And I was placed in an orphanage at the age of 3. Um, I was I grew up with nuns and then priests who beat me. Then I came to the UK without speaking the language.
Now, where
I
where
was
were
totally
you?
out of,
Now, where were
I was
you
in
at?
Spain.
Oh, in Spain. Okay,
Spain,
okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, that's okay. And so my life was really quite disastrous, primarily because technically I was a sociopath. My
Wow.
emotions had totally shut down as a means of survival. It was a survival tactic, and my emotions had shut down. And yet I knew that there was more. I don't know, at the time I didn't know what it was, but I knew there was more. And by the time I was 15, I got really interested into witchcraft, demonology. By the time I was 17, I was into Gurdjieff. Um, and by the by the time I was in my late 20s, I'd gone into spiritual healing with a group called the Atlanteans.
Oh,
And
I've heard that.
after that, I went into Gestalt psychotherapy.
Mm.
And after that, I went into acupuncture. So basically, my role was I was hoping to find a means of helping myself.
Right.
And the way that I did it was by going out there and learning things to do with healing, which meant helping others. But truth be told, I was shit at it. I was dreadful because
Wow.
I was so cut off in myself.
Right.
But it didn't stop me trying, and I kept trying. And this went on, and I learned a whole lot of modalities. So I mean, I after the Gestalt, I became an acupuncturist. I went did in a journey. Then I became a Taoist trainer. Then I did creative psychotherapy and blah blah blah. I spent my whole life doing things, trying to be good. And what was missing, what stopped me from being any good, was my heart wasn't fully open. And what was behind that was that I was angry with my mother. I was grief stricken, and I couldn't forgive her for having left me at the age of 3. And that took all the way till 60, at which time I had decided to give up healing. I thought to myself, I'm just no good at this. I've got enough money. I don't need to work. So I retired. I was 60 and I retired. And then for a couple of years, I would gaze into a mirror, into my eyes. And I was filled with such depression, really, is the word. I was depressed. And I was depressed because I knew that I was a healer and I had nothing to do. I mean, the word healing is a weird one because nobody's a healer, but I'm just putting that word out there to define a particular way of being with people. And that renewed my interest into going out there and working with people once more. But I didn't want to do what I'd done before. What I'd been doing up to that time hadn't really worked. And then I became really interested in human beings as electrical beings, that really what motivates the human being is electricity. And I began to look on the internet, human body, electricity. There were people who were doing electrical machines to alter the potential inside the body. But through that process, that led me to kinesiology. And I found someone in America to teach me kinesiology. Now, whilst that was going on, I was working really hard at healing my relationship with my mother because I needed to forgive her and I needed to let go of my anger. Every time we went to Spain, my wife and I, we would go there and she couldn't take it because the tension was so high. I was so easily irritated by her, and it was horrible for my mother. It was horrible for me anyway. The way that I worked through my emotional issues to do with my mother was that I sat down for 2 weeks. I isolated myself, and I wrote everything about my childhood. And because of the way I've been through life, I never look back. I always focused on the present. And whilst we may think, being in the present is a great thing, we also do need to reflect on the past. And I never did that. I always avoided reflecting on the past. And it's like my past didn't exist in many ways. But in those 2 weeks, the whole of my childhood came back. And all the way down to 3 years old, which was a mystery to me that I could actually remember being 3 years old, but I did. And I realized that my mother, through quirks of fate, her mother had died when she was 9 years old. And she repeated her pattern with me, so that she was bereft by the loss of her mother, by the grief of that. And then she did the same with me because her husband had left her and she needed to survive in Spain, just after the Civil War. So it wasn't easy for a single woman to make the way away in the world, to earn a living and look after a young child. So she did the best she could under the circumstances. I would not have left my child, but then I'm a man. My wife would not have left her child. But, it's easy for us to say that today because we don't understand the hardship that people had in those days. Anyway, the end result was that as I worked my way through all of that, I was able to put myself in her shoes and truly forgive her from the bottom of my heart. I never had I never truly had a loving relationship with her. It wasn't possible because although she brought me to live with her when I was 11 in the UK, in England, I was so shut down and I had so much grief that my heart was too shut to really have a relationship with her. And she couldn't have a relationship with me because she was as fucked up as I was. And she meant well and she did her best and she wanted to love me and she wanted to look after me, but she was full of grief. And she did her best. But you know, sometimes this is what we have to do in this world. I like to say that I needed to have a shitty life so that I could reach escape velocity, so that I could move beyond my ego. Sometimes we have to really suffer
Yeah.
before we can really see ourselves in perspective. Anyway, so I went to see my mother. By now she was in a lot of pain and she wasn't dying, and really she was ready to die. She was worse and worse and worse. But my wife and I, we went to Spain, we went to see her, and I found the courage to share with her that I had forgiven her from the bottom of my heart. And that I loved her. And eventually she died. She was killed, really. They killed her with painkillers. But she was ready then. She was ready to die. She couldn't die because you really touch a nerve here, because her heart was so heavy and she needed my forgiveness to die in peace. So anyway, so I did that. I released that in me, and now my heart could flower in a way that up to the age of 60 it hadn't been able to. You know, in spite of all my training, all the things I did, all the exercises I did, God, I've done so much to open my heart. And that was the key that was missing in my life. True forgiveness. However, I did that, and I learned kinesiology, I learned muscle testing, and it turned out that everything I trained in previously, I could now make good use of with the kinesiology. So I learned kinesiology to do craniosacral, for acupuncture, for nutrition, for structural. I trained in everything. All I was missing was the muscle testing. So as I was doing the muscle testing, I began to realize that I was communicating with something beyond the body. So when we taught muscle testing, we thought, you know, you're communicating with the other person's body and the body knows everything, etc. But what I found was that they were responding to my intention. They were responding to my internal images, my intention, my thought, rather than me asking the question. Because sometimes I asked the question and it was wrong, but I had the right intention and image, and they were responding to that. And after a while, I realized, oh, hold on a minute. And I began to test it out. And sure enough, there was something else here beyond just me doing a muscle test on another person's body and then giving me a response from somehow beyond the subconscious.
Right.
And I then got some friends to be guinea pigs as I began to ask questions. And it turned out that yes, there is an intelligence behind, but this was a special sort of intelligence that was it had always been there for me. You could say my guardian angel, for the sake of argument, but it's a lot more than that. But I'd been aware since my 20s that there was something taking care of me. Anyway, so I wanted to have more of a communication with this something, and I learned how to self-muscle test. And so it's a bit like using a pendulum, except using my own hand. I just sort of ask questions. It's yes and no answers. And there was a lot of missteps, misunderstanding, confusion, but gradually I got the hang of it, in the sense that my communication got clearer, that I was relaxing so that my ego was not interfering with my questioning. And an intelligence was coming through which began to tell me how to heal myself. And it began to tell me how to do acupuncture on me, how to do what I do with other people. It began to tell me how to do it on me. A lot of very intense, it taught me things to do with opening the chakras, and then it began to tell me, right, do this. So I would be doing sort of frequencies on my certain chakras for 20 minutes at a time. I would be going into the past, dealing with past lives. And through that, our communication got clearer. And I thought, this is ridiculous. I need a name. So I called him Charlie. It's okay. Because for ease of communication, I called him Charlie. And Charlie began to tell me things. And some of them were fantastic. True, fantastic in the sense of, am I mad? People would say, you're a bit loony, because he began to tell me, and we've been here before so many times, that there is a cataclysm coming. And he told me the date, he told me the events that would happen, he's told me about the aliens through humans, which are waiting on the sidelines to help 2/3 of the population at that time, which will happen for a year beforehand. And this is very hard to take on board. It's very hard to believe something like this, because I've heard it all before. We had 2012, 1988. We've had so many false people saying, there's this happening, there's this going to happen, there's this going to happen. Everybody run for the hills, there's this going to happen. And we've seen the people who end up taking it very seriously out of fear, and they disappear, they set up the commune somewhere, trying to survive the coming end of the world. So I had to take that with a pinch of salt.
Now, how long ago did this happen, Sal?
Well, that he began stalking with me.
No, no, no.
You mean,
Well, yeah. I mean, when you started receiving this intelligence of
this has
the
been going on for
events.
about 4 years now.
Okay, okay. And if you don't mind me asking, so because
No,
you mentioned 60. I'm 61, and you look younger than me. I'm just curious, how
thank you.
long? How?
I am 70 this year.
Okay,
In a few months, I'm 70.
okay. So 9 years ago, and I just want to say real quick, and please, probably won't say anything the rest of the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, I think it's your energy speaks for itself. There's so many things I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours, but it's so refreshing to see somebody who went on the path of becoming a healer, the archetypical wounded healer, even right, that we could all relate to,
Yeah, for sure.
and actually shut down everything at 60 years old and said, I can't do this. I'm no good to the people I'm trying to help. And then you go into this to where you've brought us today. But yeah, just please continue with what your aspect Charlie
Okay.
has to say about, because I would love to hear the details, not because it's salacious or, you know, but because I can feel your
There's so
frequency
much.
and I believe it's
There's so
truthful.
much to tell.
Yeah, just
Listen, I've
tell
got
us
so much to
everything.
tell.
Yeah, we're all.
We don't have enough time in this one session for me to share everything.
Well, we can
Uh,
extend it a little bit, but yeah, we
all
can
right.
do another one too. But yeah, go ahead. Let's hear
Okay.
what.
So, so first of all, Charlie healed me, and I had some serious problems because during all this time, um, I'd had lots of back problems, lots of digestive problems. I'd become diabetic. There were all manner of problems happening with me, and I couldn't even sleep properly. I could only sleep in one position because my spine, everything was, oh God, I was in a dreadful physical way. But Charlie healed me. He told me what to do. And over a number of years, he has been steadily healing me. And my wife, my children, well, one of my children anyway, and my clients. I've got just a few clients who are working with me because I'll just digress here for a second. One of the problems with being a true healer, and there is no such thing as a true healer, because if I am a healer, then I am taking away from you your experience. If I heal you of
Right.
something without you going through the experience,
Then you
because
don't
the
learn
reason
nothing.
why
They don't learn
you don't
anything.
learn anything,
Yeah.
you're
Yep.
not growing, you're not,
Yeah.
your electrical system is not
You're
strengthening,
you're
your emotional system is not
right.
strengthening, your mind is
Yeah.
not strengthening.
Right.
We need to experience pain and suffering. It's the only way. It is the only way. It's a hard one to share. Anyway, but what I'm able to do now, which I could never do before, is by using. I don't use Charlie. Charlie uses me. Okay, so Charlie uses me, and he tells me what to do with people, and so I help people to work through their emotional trauma, through the structural misalignments as a result of that, through whatever's going on energetically, at the chakra level, through their acupuncture, whatever they need in terms of nutrition, whether they need homeopathy or tissue salts or backflower remedies. Charlie can tell me all of that. So it's a complete package. So now that I'm really good at helping people to help themselves, of course, I don't see many people anymore because not many people are ready for real development, which is sad but true. Because most people, you see, we live, we, you know this, most of the people who listen to you know this, we create our own reality. Yeah? Now take that to its logical conclusion. We create our own reality, immediate reality, and collectively we create a collective reality. So, the combination of our frequency, our resonance, it all blends together and we end up with a cohesive reality. that is shared by the lowest common denominator. Now, most people are filled with suppressed emotions of anger, grief, call it what you will, eventually it's fear. And when we're in a state of fear, we're egocentric, we're lost within ourselves. And because of that, and because modern life is an ongoing stress, it means that people's structure begins to twist and distort, and their minds are like judges. They are controlling all their thoughts, they're controlling all their emotions, pretty much. They're controlling a lot of the physical activity. The person is trapped in themselves. They're lost and they're trapped. And they would like to heal themselves from their pain and their trauma, but they haven't got a clue how to do that. So what they do is their internal world is being reflected externally. So now they choose food that will keep them sick.
Mm-hmm.
They choose doctors that will give them drugs that will keep them sick. Yeah. They choose therapists that will keep them where they are. If they go looking for therapists, they will find therapists that will keep them in exactly where they're at. They won't truly heal because they are not ready to heal. They're not looking for healing. They say they are, but what they're looking is to be kept. So they will find someone at their level who will keep them where they're at.
Keep going. Hang on a second.
Oh, hang on.
Hi, how are you? You have the car left up here? Yeah, that's fine.
Here you go.
Okay, no, okay, I'll leave it here.
Just open the door and
Okay.
set it down right here.
Okay, great.
Nobody ever knocks on the door. This is amazing. There's so many things I could unpack with you. Like, I'm curious. It's such a fascinating story. I would love to get together with you again. I know we've only been doing this for 27 minutes, but because there's two elements here. First of all, your story is extraordinary, and many of the stories, 4,000 shows, they're very much the same. The stories are a little bit different, but the energy and the pattern is the same. So yours, to me, I mean, this whole thing about getting to 60 and then having the integrity to say, I'm a healer, but I'm not healing people. and to be able to do that, that's huge. I think that's huge. And so you have this fascinating personal evolution and transformation. And then I think, too, stepping into the Trinity energy, where you're actually serving self, serving your brother, serving the collective in equal measure with what you're doing with your life. And then at the same time, you have this collective intel coming in regarding the cataclysms and the events and such, including some of the stuff that the specifics that you shared with us. How do you frame those two things up in one place?
Okay.
In other words,
Well,
the collective intel that you received, which we would love to hear, for the right reasons, but even more importantly, we'd love to hear it because then you can kind of answer this question through your words of how you kind of frame that up, your individual journey inside of or within this collective experience that we're creating, that you're getting, like others, you're getting some intelligence on as to what it will be specifically.
Yeah. So one of the things that Charlie said to me quite earlier on was, now this only applies to Charlie. He doesn't know about other souls, but Charlie, he he shared with me a vision of cosmology, of creation, which is a very simple, you know, we've become so complicated in our spiritual seeking, and this is ego trying to find answers, and ego will never find answers. There are no answers to be had in ego because ego is a machine. Okay, a machine can only work out 2 and 2 equals 4 because it's been programmed to do 2 and 2 equals 4. And so step number 1 is the realization that we are machines, that we have no free will. I know that people think this is a myth, but we have no free will. A machine cannot have free will. Not even a Tesla car has got free will, okay? And a Tesla car is a bit better than an old banger, but it still has no free will.
Now, when you say that, because I've heard this before, and I just want to get more clear on it. This is fascinating.
Yeah.
When you say that we have no free will, yes. In other words, when you're saying that we're a machine, I think what you're saying is in terms of, okay, let's say there's Todd and then there's Big Todd up here, right?
Sure.
Big Todd has the free will that got this Todd here. This Todd kind of has something like that. Go ahead.
Right. So Saul, I am a machine. My physical body is DNA, and there's information which has been transmitted through that DNA. So, for example, when a woman gets pregnant and she's got a fetus inside her, let's assume it's a girl, then that girl will have ovaries within which there's going to be eggs. And those eggs have got the DNA of the grandmother, what will be the grandmother. So when those little eggs get fertilized eventually, that granddaughter will have genetic information which has been passed on directly from the grandmother.
Right.
Now, the father passes genetic information to that baby girl, for the sake of argument, at the moment of conception. So any emotional experiences, any big traumas which that man has experienced up till the moment of getting together with the woman for conception purposes, then that semen, those little whatsits, they already contain the information which has been inbuilt into the DNA of any trauma that they have experienced right there and then. So this is a way for the physical body to transmit information genetically across the generations, through the grandmother and the father. They come together, and so genetically it's a way of learning how to survive in the physical world. There's no more to it than that. That's it's as simple as that. Now, emotionally, we are designed, also part of the body, but emotionally we are designed to survive either via fear, reactivity, fight, flight, or through procreation. So our hormonal system primes us for procreation, and you can look at any animal to see that very clearly. And we also have the fight flight, which is meant to be temporary, but with us is most of the time. So that is the emotional part of it. And again, it's all automatic, it's a reaction. And then we have the mental, but the mental is a set of programs which we acquire either from our direct experience in our environment as we're growing up, or more likely in this day and age, through indoctrination, cultural, teachers, parents, everybody's indoctrinating us. So we grow up as a physical being, as a reactive machine. There is no free will in a reactive machine. We are built in this third dimension, okay? This third dimension is one of cause and effect, action and reaction. There is nothing else. This is why we have the laws of physics and mathematics. You can find out how things are going to behave. So there is no free will there. Everything can be programmed, found out. So this is the world of 3 dimension that we all exist in. And there is no answer to that one. That's how it is. There is another dimension. This other dimension is the soul dimension. Now, I will divide the soul dimension into the 9th, well, we've got the 3rd, but I will say the 9th, the 12th, and the 17th. Those are the only 3 that I am personally aware of, although this is how it's been related to me for ease of understanding, but in reality, it's all one.
Right.
If you think, look, for us, time, we're right now here at this moment in time, and time is now. But really, time is a thin slice of sausage of previous lifetimes towards the future.
Right.
At this moment in time, all the past lives have already been sliced up. The future has yet to be sliced. The sausage is there, but it's full of potential, but it hasn't been sliced up. So the soul dimension is, if you like, we are a hologram of the soul dimension.
Right.
The soul dimension is also a sausage, an energetic sausage, a vibrational sausage, call it what you will, but you can also slice it. You can slice it into the 9th, the 12th, the 17th, and
Right.
God knows what else there is. So my personal soul fragment is in the 9th layer, in the 9th dimension. Charlie, my grandfather, if you like, he's in the 12th dimension. The soul of this earth is in the 17th dimension. Now I have personal experience, heart experience of all 3 of them, thanks to Charlie. And when we speak of soul, again, soul is also a hologram of the maker of all, whatever we might define as God, the ultimate, the creator, which by definition is beyond creation. And so what comes into creation is God's will, God's vibrational energy, God's love. You can call it whatever you like, but it is something that God gives of itself into creation. And that is a continuous stream. Mm-hmm. And that is what I call the soul dimension.
Mm-hmm.
And within that, we've got the souls, which are, the 3rd dimension is the playground. Mm-hmm. This is the playground for soul. Everything has got to go back to God. Mm-hmm. We are a husk. We are machines. We are vehicles for soul fragments. The soul fragments interact with us. Now, there's no above or below, anything like that. It's simply different frequencies that somehow interact with each other. Yeah, and for ease of communication, let me share that this happens when we are 4 months into the womb. All of this is according to Charlie. So when we are 4 months into the womb, this is when the fragment of soul integrates with the fetus that is developing inside the mother.
Okay.
By the time we are 9 months, give or take, we come into the world, our soul fragment is connected with us to the greatest degree possible within a human being. And then the world hits us, and we begin to have all manner of experiences. And this is why children at the very beginning, they're so beautiful and lovable, and they're so spontaneous and creative. They're everything that's wonderful about being a human being. And then the light begins to fade. We start to become devious and obnoxious and all manner of things as And then only your parents can truly love you, because no one else really finds you very acceptable for a while, unless you learn to to control your ego in such a way that you diminish yourself. But the ones who don't, the ones who stay strong, they're called rebels. The ones who want to hang on to their spirit, they are labeled as rebels, troublemakers.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That's all everybody here, by the way. It's just 66 people in the house right here.
so that's creation in a nutshell, as far as Charlie is concerned, as far as as far as we're concerned as human beings.
Yeah, so like, because a lot of people have different terms, and of course different perspectives, like whatever. I guess for many people it'd be like, okay, here's Todd, then I have my soul, then I have kind of an oversoul, so that could even be like 3rd, 9th, 17th, something like that.
Okay.
But and I understand and feel, like you said something about in the heart, you've experienced all three. I can relate to that. I think a lot of people could. So I'm aware, they're aware that that's a part of me, or I'm a part of it, or whatever. I like your explanation of the no free will. I get what you're saying. Almost like I have conversations with people, obviously, on the show. They bring up AI, and I'm like, we're all AI. I mean, if you want to get technical about it. But and I like the way you say this is kind of the playground. The story is fascinating of the human species. I mean, if we just speak of now, even of our lifetimes, it's absolutely fascinating. I'm fascinated personally because I look at it very much the way you do, and I see the characters in the play, like let's say at the human level, but there is a bleeding in and out, just like you have with the, let's say, the Charlie soul level and the oversoul level. There's also some bleeding in the physicality, it seems. And that would be with Star Family, or what people call ET or Alien. So I'm very intrigued and interested to know that part of the information, not as some kind of sensational bit of information, but because it sounds like, it feels like it could be very helpful. And I feel like when we tell our stories, we kind of help each other connect the dots. But
yeah, sure.
What has Charlie told you in regard to this? And you can be as specific as you want or not. But you said something about for a year that those that are vibrationally ready will be put onto ships. And
Sure.
And this is also, I remind everybody, this is also, there are narratives out there, some coming from oral history, that may not have the same exact details, but very much the same. What's the difference between the Hopi legends, Cataclysm comes, everybody goes underground, okay? Others, they talk about leaving the planet while something occurs. So would you share with us as much as you want to? Please don't share anything that makes you uncomfortable or whatever, but this is Soulogy, and we talk about everything, so don't feel like we're holding you back, but you certainly respect yourself, as I know you do.
You're not holding me back. I welcome the opportunity, okay? So Charlie said that I was a messenger. And what does that mean? I'm not a guru, definitely not. But a messenger is someone who has something to share from someone else, who hopefully is a valuable message. And so when I began, I thought, oh, now I've got Charlie, I can be a healer, a real healer, right? Because now you tell me what to do, and I'm happy to do it for other people. But Charlie said, no, that's not what it's about. What Charlie needed to do was to show me that he's real, that our interactions are real, that is not fantasy, that I'm not making things up,
Mm-hmm.
that I can truly know what's going on with another person. I work with people in Florida, in Canada. Um, I I can tell things about what's going on for them, just through Zoom, just communicating through Zoom. I don't need to be there. Um, Even though I'm 3,000 miles away, Charlie is everywhere. Anyway, so that's not what it was about for. So slight disappointment. And what it is that yes, I will just speak as though this is the truth, which for me it is, but clearly it won't be for everybody. I mean, not even for my wife. She doesn't want to know. She doesn't want to believe it. So, um, so in March of 2046, between the 1st and the 9th of March, there will be a sun-generated cataclysm. It's not the first time. We've had many. We've had
2000,
many
2046? Is that what you said? 2046?
2046, yeah.
Okay.
That is March of 2046, between the 1st and the 9th of March. And initially he said the 9th of March, but he predicted the death of my mother about 13, 14 months before she was going to die. And he was 6 weeks out. And I was really miffed. I was really miffed with him. I said, how can I trust you? If you cannot give me an exact, accurate date, how can I trust you? And so I asked a lot more questions, and it turns out that the future is not set in stone.
Mm-hmm.
The future is continually created out of the possibilities, but this is like a clock mechanism where the wheels, the teeth interact with each other, and the wheels keep turning and spinning, yeah? But it does follow that pattern. The only thing is that within this universe, there is trillions, quadrillions of different things that could affect any moment in time. And so the life of a human being is really fast in comparison with the life of a planet or with events at a planetary level. They're different time frames. So once I understood that, I said, well, what about this date? The 9th of March. Is that set in stone? And he said, no. I said, well, what is the truth of that? He says, well, it could be anywhere between the 1st and the 9th of March. So that was like, he was making allowances there for the possibility of external influences from the universe, because everything in the universe is connected to everything else.
Right.
Nothing exists in isolation, but we cannot really know every minute atomic movement anywhere in the universe that's going to have some sort of tsunami effect that is suddenly going to come our way. So anyway, so between the 1st and the 9th of March 2046. And yes, there is a race called the true. I call them the true humans, and they have been in this galaxy for the last 45,000 years, I think. 45 billion years. They came from another galaxy, and they settled in this galaxy about, I could get the timing wrong, but it's 45 billion years ago, because I think it's 55 billion years ago that this galaxy was created. So around roughly, it doesn't make much difference, around 45 billion years ago. They had their ups and downs, they extended, they did their thing. They were already way in advance of anything we can conceive of. 500 million years ago, some true humans came to the planet Earth seeking gold and an isotope of magnesium, and they gave some of their DNA to some of the herbivores, something simians, a little bit like gorillas today, but not the same, whatever. And so they now had 1.5% of this DNA. Now we share the same DNA as everything on this planet, but there's a little bit of difference, and this little bit of difference is the 1.5% that we've got from the true humans 500 million years ago. Gradually, we began to alter and change. We became more and more intelligent. I won't go into the story of what happened there, but we became more and more intelligent. And so the true humans have been aware of us for a long time. And they were here 9,000 and 5,000 years ago, fleetingly, just to see what was going on. They did not engage or interfere with anyone. Now there's a dilemma here, because we, at the moment, 98% of the world population is traumatized and lost in fear. And our collective reality is shitty, really, yucky. It's, we're sick. We're really not worth knowing as a collective species. Anyway, the point is that our collective level of consciousness is too low. Our reality is incompatible with the true human's reality. Now, Charlie, to help me work with people at an emotional level, we developed a chart which breaks up human soul integration into percentages. And so the greatest possible confluence between an ego and a fragment of soul is 88.9%. That is the highest possible for any human being, now, past, future, whatever. No one can go beyond that. To put that into perspective, the average human is around 19%, 19. That's how low we are.
Like 19% embodied.
19% embodied.
Okay.
That means that our soul fragment hardly gets a say.
Right.
Because we're so damaged in ourselves that there's no room for the passenger.
How who's really the driver? But
there's no driver. It's only computer programs. Even a Tesla can move around without anyone telling it what to do. Right. Once it's been programmed.
How many people, percentage-wise, do you think are over 50% or over enough to, in other words, where the soul has a voice, is making the decisions?
Okay. Well, let me split it up a little bit more. So the minimum level for integrating, for being able to be in the same space as the true human aliens is 45%.
So you got to be at 45%.
That is the minimum to actually be able to be in the same space as the true humans.
Yeah.
Because
I wonder,
the reality is, I myself, I live in a bubble away from most of the world. The world hardly touches me.
Right. Now,
because my percentage.
Right. Yeah, do you have contact of some sort? And the reason I'm bringing this up is my wife's a practitioner, and we've talked about this a lot. This kind of stuff, right? We've had many experiences. It's one thing to have them when you're alone, but when you have them with somebody else, that's, you're not as crazy. Now there's someone crazy with you, right? But like, for instance, we had an event in 2018 in our bedroom, and we, I'm going to say eight star family beings appeared in the room, formed a circle around us, and some things happened. So I guess in that type of example, we would have had to been at 45% or more. And in your experience, what happens to you? Because obviously you're at 45% or more. I would imagine. What type of contacts are you? What types
I'm
of
actually
contacts?
I'm actually at 85.
You're at
I am
85.
actually at 85.
Okay, so
But, you know,
is
it's
someone
nothing
that
special. It just means it's not special, okay? All it means is that I've cleared most of the trauma inside me.
yeah,
That's all it means.
but if you well, but okay, let me just play the devil's not the devil's advocate, but let me just make a point because and I'm saying this specifically because what people are talking about and they're experiencing. A lot of people saying since the solstice, certainly since 2023 started, because it feels like a whole different world. But with everything that you're releasing, or I'm releasing, something comes in, or something gets turned on. And I would think like it to be at a high percentile, like 80 or 85 percentile, or whatever, that you would have access to the frequencies that come with a higher vibration, right? With a more clear vessel. What type of experiences? What are you experiencing on a personal level? Do you?
I am just as fucked up as everybody else.
Yeah, that's what I love about you.
I am an
See,
ordinary human being, and there's absolutely nothing special about me, apart from the fact that I can connect with my emotions. My emotions, in fact, take over, and my feelings overflow, and that's all we can hope for as human beings, to be honest, to be able to fully be in our bodies, be in our emotions, be in our feelings. That's it.
Yeah, I really really appreciate what you're saying. Like the emotions and the feelings, as in how do I feel, but also feeling as in sensitivities. I think is really a unique superpower to the human beings. And I also get the impression, because if you look in these circles, and I'm not really big into labels, but light workers, starseed, even like Eastern religion. I mean, in other, let's say, sacred texts that prophesize this time, there's a lot of focus by a lot of people in these circles, and I would have to say I'm probably one of them, that's focusing on the collective big event. Something big is coming. Something's changing everything in the world and the universe and so on and so on. But I get the feeling talking to you that that's not the case with you. You are fully, as fully as possible, say 85, present as a human, in the human experience, and really, like with what you just said, have a deep reverence and gratitude just for being here. And you, instead of seeing everything as like something big and we're changing everything, changing the world, we're changing the universe, for you, your information, which matches up with a lot of things I've read over the years and conversations I've had, for you, it's more of, it's just the cycle of life. And in that cycle of life, there's all these little cycles, those little gears you were talking about, like with the time. And I have a feeling that's how you kind of go through life, is you're being you.
Listen, I've already confronted my death. I accepted my mother's death before she died. I've accepted my death before it's happened. Charlie's already shown me when I'm going to die. And I have accepted that about me. And I also accept the fact that I've had a number of previous lifetimes, all very painful, and all have been leading me to this moment.
Right.
You know, it's a predestination. And what this moment is a critical moment. It's a critical moment for humanity. And the critical moment amounts to this. Right now, 98% of the world is lost in their fears, lost in their indoctrinated beliefs, and somehow by 2045, what's that, about 23 years from now, 4 billion people, give or take, because the world population will have gone down to about 6.3 billion, I think. Then 4 billion people are going to be uplifted from this earth to go to new places. And the reason for that is because this is the opportunity that so many soul fragments have been waiting for, to be able to escape from this earth. And I mean that in a nice way, because this is a shitty earth for human beings, and I don't want to go into that now, but there are influences on humanity which keep us knuckled down.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've got traditionally, over thousands and thousands of years before this last cataclysm, about 13,000 years ago, the majority of souls that incarnated, that integrated, they had been around the block a few times, and they were able to take control of the ego, see themselves in perspective, live life to the full as a human being, and then they had no trauma. They could move on. In the process, younger souls that were younger souls in terms of human body that were coming, they were showing them the ropes so that they would learn how to inhabit a body, how to deal with it, how to be in the world within a human body. So there was a process of growth and learning across the generations. However, after the last cataclysm, everything went pear-shaped. And so for the last 10,000 plus years, we have descended into barbarism, brutality, human sacrifices, just about every worst thing you could think about humanity. We've done it. We have been broken down, subsumed. We have been born to this earth, and from day one we've been traumatized. We haven't had a chance to really come to terms with our bodies in any measurable, significant way. Anyway, so here we are today, and there's a third of the population is young souls, but there is 4 billion souls, or there will be by 2023, who are ready to escape the clutches of this planet and move on to other planets. And this is an opportunity for this event to happen. However, these people still have to wake up. They still have to do the work. Now that's why I'm here. So my job here is not to help people on a one-to-one basis, although I am there for those few who it happens who I'm meant to be working with. But I'm here to help, to add my voice to helping people to deal with their emotional traumas collectively, to connect with their hearts so that they can begin to rise to reach 45%, because that is the minimum. So to get there, over the next 9 years, we have to become 1 billion strong. That means over the next 9 years, there has to be 1 billion people who are connected with their hearts sufficiently that they are generating the frequency so they begin to alter reality. Collective reality needs to change. At the moment, we have been co-opted into this damaging collective reality of fear. So over the next 9 years, we need to build, somehow, we need to build to 1 billion strong, so that our collective energy will begin to influence all those souls who are ready to wake up, but they're still lost in themselves. And there are many ways of waking up. One is to go study, do your exercise, etc. But another one is to be in contact with someone who has a higher frequency.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the collective higher frequency will quicken the pace for those who are ready, or nearly ready. So So this is the challenge. So over the next 9 years, we need to somehow build up to 1 billion, and then that will allow us to wake up the other 3 billion in the offing, so that the 4 billion can actually go off planet. So that's, I mean, in a nutshell, that's what I'm here for.
Man, this has
At
been
this
like,
stage, I'm 70 years old, for fuck's sake. Well,
you look like you're
I
about
need,
50.
I need a
Man.
hole in my head.
I just want to point out, I mean, that was a powerful hour. I'd love to get together with you again. Is this a good day and time for you, Sundays?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Look, I want to show everybody a couple things and then close it out with asking Sal about part of what I'm going to show you. Let me show you one of his websites. I don't know if you have more. That's why I phrased it that way. This is
yeah. No. I only got the one.
okay. This is yours. Okay, so this is Salmarch. So it's SALMARCH.co.uk. So you can see he's got a pretty comprehensive site. I don't usually pull this up. Everybody knows we don't really do a lot of marketing and promotion on Soulogy.
Underneath, I've got a lot of This is what I did in the beginning. This is my very beginning, how I started.
Yeah,
I need to rewrite a lot of it. Okay, I need to rewrite a lot of it, make it a little bit more.
Yeah, and I wanted to show people that everything that you talked about today, pretty much. I know we went through a lot of stuff. Now this is about eating, but the things here's about the coming cataclysm, the cataclysm that he was talking about. And he has a blog, and he has a lot of stuff in here, so it's very well done. But I had been in here kind of researching a little bit, and I actually thought this was a great topic. The third eye, seat of the imagination, which you just put out on January 14th. Imagination seems to be front and center for me, anyway. I feel like that we're stepping into the understanding that it all starts with the power of our imagination, and we can either let our imagination run wild with stories and all the remnants of the bullshit that we're leaving behind, or we can utilize our imagination to do anything that we want, to include having 1 billion people at the same high frequency band in a given period of time. That even projecting thoughts of that nature with the right intention and unconditional love that you talked about earlier can actually make things like that happen. And it's not like we're not looking at the darkness and all that. It's not about that. It's about being responsible as a creator and actually doing something about it instead of letting it come to you. But yeah, I just wanted to ask you about that. You just written about it, and just quickly, like your overview on what the imagination is. Is Todd crazy? Is it powerful? Is there other things more powerful that we can do? Whatever. But what do you think the imagination is for us, and will that change? Will it expand?
Okay, imagination is the communication line from our soul fragment to ourselves, to the ego.
Yes, thank you.
So we need to the problem in us, because of the way the world is at the moment, imagination is frowned on.
Yeah, of course.
Because imagination is freedom, and we don't particularly want people to be free, right? So imagination is freedom. If you can imagine anything, you can literally create anything.
Right.
But it works both ways. For example, I have unknowingly, over most of my life, used my imagination to bring things that I wanted into my world. All I had to do was focus on something I wanted. And as soon as my imagination connected with my feelings and my emotions, boom, it was at my door. And this has been there the whole of my life, and I took it for granted. But also I realized that if you're afraid if you're afraid of burglars, if you're afraid of people coming and stealing stuff of you, then you are generating images
Right.
of fear. Now, if you then go and you put an alarm outside, so you won't get, so no one will come and steal from you. Guess who's gonna get when
Right.
the burglars come around looking to see who are we gonna steal from? Who's got anything worth stealing?
Right.
Well, hello, he's got a burglar alarm. There must be something valuable there, right? So that's where I'm gonna go. My point is that we can generate events in our life. I'm going to do a podcast on magic soon, but this is real magic. You see, you can create magic with your emotions.
Right. Exactly.
So emotions and images will alter reality near you. It won't go very far, but it will alter near you. Feelings aligned with imagination can change reality very far away from
Yeah,
you.
that's right. That's
It's
why.
like chalk and cheese.
Yeah, that's why it's so important to, because we think about conscious living, conscious awareness. What do you do when you wake up? Now, what do we do with this? And being being conscious of our thoughts, which come from our imagination, right? Let's make that clear. Like, these are our thoughts. This is something I'm initiating and imaginating and creating with, and when you get right down to it, like you said, it's our connection. It's the way we program this fractal. We can actually program this fractal because we're getting that information is coming from that Charlie, from that soul, from a bigger part of us, or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I totally dig what you're saying. I'm feeling it, and I think that's something anybody can do, right? That's something anybody can do. You could be in prison for life, and your imagination. I mean, even if you look at Nelson Mandela, when he writes about being in prison in South Africa, and he had this little garden, like that little garden that he tended to every day was just a little garden. But I bet you that little garden was like a portal, was like a magic cauldron, where, what was he in there, like 27 years or something, where he put all of his imagination, all of his plans, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it doesn't matter, where you're at. But I've got to go because I've got a important connection with my wife, and but I'd love to get together with you again.
Very important. Yeah, I'm here.
Everybody saw salmarch.uk. You can go to Salvador March on Facebook, and the information's there too. But yeah,
I've got a YouTube. I've got a YouTube.
What's the name of the YouTube?
If you type in Salvador March, you will find me.
Okay.
Also, my website links to a lot of my YouTube videos to do with podcasts, some of them.
Let's see, Salvador March. My family is from, my mother's side is from...
no, not that one.
Oh, that's a different one? Oh, sorry. Can you see what I'm pulling up? Can you see what I'm pulling up?
Hold on a minute. Not yet. Hold on a minute.
Oh, here it is.
I
No, that's not it either.
It's Mary. Hold on a minute. Let me just bring it up.
I don't see it. That must be an old one.
Salvador March at Meridian Akumassage. The problem with these things, I did this years and years ago, and I don't know how to change the names.
Oh,
Salvador March at Meridian Akumassage.
Let's see. At like a
Meridian. Yeah.
Meridian.
Akumassage.
Meridian. I'll try that. Let's see what happens. No, I can't get it up. I'll have to pull it up later. We'll figure it out. But
hold on a
okay.
minute. I'm just gonna send you a link. Hold on a minute.
Okay.
Let me just go into my channel.
Let's see here. Is it on the? Where is FIFA? Oh,
Fine.
that's right.
Yeah, that's the place. That's where I am.
Yeah. Um,
Oh, you're there. You're there. Oh, is that me? No, that's me.
I'm on the maternal side of my family. Our family comes from Asturias, Spain.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Here's a
Oh,
link.
here's the
Just send you a
YouTube.
link through.
Okay, here's the
There's a
YouTube.
link.
Okay, here I got it right here. Okay, let me just put it up because somebody was asking. Okay, here we go. Boom, boom. All right, let me go back. That's the one I had. That's the one I had.
Oh well.
Yeah, that's the one I had.
Great.
Okay.
So what did you type in? Salvador March,
Yeah, I just put in Salvador March. Okay, hang on. Boom.
and that took me there.
Share screen. Okay, so this is it right here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
That's
it.
the one.
Yeah, that's it right there. So we got, yeah, there's your videos. Lots of videos. Lots of videos. Yeah, there you go.
I've been busy.
So that's Salvador March. Yeah, that's all you got to have right there. You're good. All right, so that gets you the information that y'all asked for. I've enjoyed it. Thank you so much, my brother, and thank you for your service to humanity, to yourself. All blessings to you and your family and your endeavors. And
Thank you.
till I
Thank
see
you for this opportunity. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Absolutely, I appreciate you
All right.
coming on. Peace out. Y'all take
Take
care.
care.